Hey guys, welcome to another Patreon exclusive episode of The Litter Box. Hi, Des is back.
I'm still here.
Des is still here. This is the third show we filmed in the last hour.
As I sometimes tell my guests at the restaurant, it was a long day before you even came in here.
Yeah. But we wanted to catch up a little bit. Last week we did the episode, kind of catching you guys up about what's going on and about what's going on with me mentally.
What's going on?
And I gotta say, it's been a good week. It's been a slow return to form, I think. I'm trying to do things that'll help me out, like physically. Like in the last 3 days, I've had like 2 cups of coffee. So
yeah,
fingers crossed that'll help.
Yeah, I've been cutting out coffee too. So
yeah. Because if I'm like I'm not losing my voice as fast, I feel like that might have been a major factor in it.
Yeah.
And like I'm like not any more tired at 1 o'clock in the morning than I was last week at 1 o'clock in the morning.
All right.
So I'm like, oh well, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
But on top of that, also we're trying to make some changes to better the channel, and also in some way lighten my stress load and lighten my workload.
Yes.
And so the first small step we've taken in terms of doing that, in case you missed the Gamescast, is basically we're changing Gamescast Live starting next week.
Right.
Next week. And what it's going to be I love how open-ended it is, because we're going to be doing everything via some kind of live chat, whether it be Google Hangouts, whether it be Skype, whether it be whatever. Skype and OBS don't work well together, so I'm going to have to find a different solution. Okay. But by Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern next week, that'll be the first time you see a new episode of the Gamescast Live. The Gamescast Live, that doesn't sound right, but and it's going to be a little different. Yep. So what it is, instead of me, Jeremy, Des, and possibly Amanda all shoving ourselves into this tiny room, which is so stressful just thinking about everyone coming into this room.
It's an effort.
It's an effort. Preparing everything, getting everything set up.
Yeah.
It's such a nightmare. And on top of that, like everyone comes in like in the midst of my stress, and like it's just the worst possible time for people to come in. But we have a show to do. Right. So we're changing that. It's gonna be all done through Skype. And for the most part, it seems like right now, it's gonna be me and AJ. Yeah. A lot of the time. He and I talk a lot, and man, I can't wait for the Game Cats to because he's got 900 something like subscribers on his channel. Okay, but that means there's like 36,000 people who don't really follow AJ. Yeah, right. So he's the newest member of the Games Cast, the newest member of the channel, and I think people will start appreciating even like his reviews more. Yeah. When they start hearing him talk about games, and he has so much to say. Well,
and that's the thing. Yeah, he is like, I'm a casual that wears a like pro gamer hat every now and then. Like I love games, but I'm not like I don't know. Games are a big part of my life, but they are not my life. Right. Amanda, she is, as far as the other scale, she's just becoming a gamer now. AJ is like, he is the gamer's gamer. He knows these things inside and out. If you watched his stream when the Monster Cat expansion came out for Beat Saber, he's like, oh, I'm just going to first time this on expert while keeping up a conversation with the chat. What's the big problem, guys? Yeah.
Right. I can barely finish any song on expert after like a day of practice. Right. Never mind the chat. Never mind the pressure of doing it live. Yeah. Yeah.
So he's good, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think what's going to be great is that like he's still working on his review style, but what he's really good at is just talking. Yeah, and so I think we're going to be able to see a lot more of what AJ's all about, and like what his influences are and where he's come from, and his thoughts on PlayStation VR games. He has a lot of thoughts on PlayStation VR games. He plays every single game that comes out, and that was sort of the problem we were having. Jeremy is always been a gamer, but man, his life is so full of other stuff right now that like asking him to even spend an hour playing Resident Evil 7 every week is sort of putting him out. Yeah. Like he's always rushing home to make sure he can do that for you guys, and like he really wants to do it, but then that's the hour he had to play video games, and so he comes to the Gamescast every week and can only talk about the hour of Resident Evil 7 he played the night before. Right. And that's not what we want for you guys. That's not the show we want to put on. That's not the informative show or the educated show or the knowledgeable show.
Right.
I'm just using synonyms now.
Yeah, that's good.
We want a show where you see the people who are on screen are the professionals, the people who know what they're talking about inside out. That being said, I know like Aless.
Yeah,
I know you're out there, Aless. He was concerned. He goes, "So well, I guess this is the end of the conversational podcast." That's all. Yeah. He's like, "That was my favorite part." I was like, "That doesn't mean that. No. It doesn't mean that. It just means that when it means we're totally able to get off topic. But when we get on topic, everyone's on topic and everyone has knowledge about that topic.
Right.
And that's the important part, because you can have a conversational podcast that's about PlayStation VR games.
Absolutely.
But if everyone doesn't know about the PlayStation VR games you're talking about, then it's just a conversational podcast about 80s movies. Right. And that's not, when we call a show PSVR Gamescast Live, we want it to be mostly about PlayStation VR.
Right. And not only that, like, you know, we get the situation like we had a couple weeks ago where, you know, out of the 4 people, only one person had spent any amount of time on Falcon Age.
Falcon Age, me.
The second person had played a little bit, me. And then the other 2 hosts really couldn't add anything to the conversation because they had no experience with it at all.
The game had only come out like an hour before we got here.
Well, and right. What I was going to say is through no fault of their own. This is not like being dismissive of, you know, everyone else on the channel. It's just like, you know, that was the big topic. That was the game that had come out. That's the one everyone wanted to talk about. And we weren't able to give it the due that it could. It ended up being, you know, Brian going on about it,
which is totally stressful. If you've ever hosted a show and you start getting real concerned about what happens when you stop talking, there's like no greater stress. Yeah. So I don't want to ever be worried about what happens when I stop talking. I want what happens when I stop talking to be better than what was just happening when I was talking.
Yeah.
And so this is why with Skype we're going to be able to, if, like I said, if Jeremy plays a game like all week and he's super excited about it, then Jeremy can be one of the hosts that week, and we can get him on to get his opinions about the game he's been playing. I think if, you know, when you're available and when there's a game you want to talk about, absolutely. You know, you've been my right hand man for the last 2 years straight. Like this, I don't really think there'd be a channel if anyone has any idea. Des is like my emotional support. He's kind of everything.
That's terrifying.
It's terrifying. That's why I don't tell you often. They just drop it on you during a litter box.
No, it's just like you're going to me for support. That's terrifying.
So, but like, you know, you're an integral part of this channel, and like, but truth be told, when Michelle left, you were only filling in for her temporarily on Gamescast Live. Yeah,
no, I always said it's like I can do this now. I don't know how long I'll be able to because, you know, like just coincidentally, like when, you know, this run. You may notice, like, wait, well, Des popped in every once in a while, but man, he's been going for a while now. It's almost exclusively because the adult class, I teach an adult fencing class at noon. It was on Tuesdays. It switched to Mondays.
Just happened to move.
Right. And we're coming to the end of that anyways. So, I mean, and summer vacation's coming up. So this isn't like, you know, oh, Brian flipped out and fired everybody. Like, this is just making his life easier. For me, that's the most important. I know it's not the most important, but making his life easier.
It's pretty important,
yeah. To making the show more of what he and honestly the rest of us want it to be. Right. And 3, it was going to happen anyways because I wasn't going to be able to do it for much longer. I mean, this summer, and Jeremy's got kids too, and he's got to deal with that. So
yeah, Jeremy's got kids for the whole summer.
Right. There was a big change was coming anyways. Right.
So the other part of this is not only do we get to hear AJ's voice a little more on the channel, in a non-rigorous review kind of way, because he's not signed on to the channel to do reviews. It was just something I kind of was like, hey, do you want to do this? Because I don't have time to. Do you want to do this? If you see an AJ review, it's probably not something I was going to review. It's probably something that was just never going to get reviewed if I didn't, or if AJ didn't do it. Yeah. So I know that, like, you know, there's been a very, very small amount of people who are like, I prefer Brian's reviews. And I'm like, thank you. I've been doing them for 4 years. I hope you prefer them. Like, I put a lot of work into perfecting what I do. And, you know, and I spend a ridiculous amount of time on them. So thank you. I'm glad you like mine better. Like, if you didn't, I'd be sad. Okay. But honestly, I think, you know, this AJ's doing this as a favor, and basically I think he's going to keep getting better at reviews, but he's like our guides guy. He's our tips and tricks guy, and we're going to see a lot more of those videos from him. And and then actually getting to hear his voice in like, again, a non-scripted, non-structured way, it's going to be, you guys are going to love it, I promise.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you're probably not going to love so much if you've met Dave Station. No, I fucking love Dave Station.
Yeah.
Dave Station and I go way back. I've been doing this channel for like 4 or 5 years now. But when we made the switch to PlayStation VR, we started looking at all the other PlayStation VR YouTubers and like who else out there is doing this. And Dave Station was there pretty much from the get-go.
Yeah.
Doing drunk plays. He was drinking and he'd be doing Let's Plays, and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Dave and I got to be friends very early on. And he is one of the most intellectual, passionate gamers with, again, a very rich history in gaming that I know, and we tend to agree on a lot of things, which is nice.
Yeah.
But we also have like, different enough opinions where like I don't think I think this can be very seldom where Dave and I go, fuck you, this isn't I don't agree with you and I don't agree with you. I don't think there's going to be like a whole lot of serious debates on the new show, but I think there's going to be a lot of just intelligent discussions about the games we've been playing, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. Dave is very, very well spoken, and hopefully that comes across on the Gamescast.
Well, and I think, like you said, last week, like your dream was to become a video game journalist, right? And this is gonna get closer to that, because even for myself, I'll say like when we do a game for why we love, I play enough of it to get a good sense for it. I play enough of it to where I feel I know what's going on with the game. I can give an opinion on it, but I don't play it to death where I know every nook and cranny where, that's where AJ is going to come in. Right. So I think it's fantastic, and it's, honestly, it's one less thing off my plate. So,
yeah. Well, for everything we take off your plate, we might put something back on it.
Okay. Well,
so
do that too.
We'll see. It's time to set up that green screen in Studio B.
Yeah.
Des doesn't know it, but he's the new breaking news guy.
Okay.
Right. I'm down.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Cool.
Anyway, you heard it here first, and so did I.
And I just came up with it on the spot. So basically, obviously, we always want your feedback. We got so many suggestions from every single angle about how I can lighten my load.
And let's not forget too that like the other voices are not going away. Jeremy is still doing his live streams.
Yep.
Yes.
Jeremy's still doing his live streams, and he's still welcome to join us when he feels as though he's got something to contribute.
Right.
Amanda is still doing her Thursday night Amanda Versus streams, and of course she's more than welcome to join us on Gamescast Live as well when she feels as though that she's got something to contribute to whatever the conversation is that week. I like to hope that as we move forward and as we get into a new groove with Gamescast Live, that we start saying, hey, obviously we're going to talk about all the new games that came out this week, but also I feel like the best way to structure it is to say, hey, like 3 or 4 days ahead of time, this is going to be the topic for this Gamescast Live. Think about it and just kind of mull it over and have something to say about it. And I think that's going to allow for some interesting conversations, and also, even if you haven't played like the most recent games, allow Jeremy or Amanda to have input on that show.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, there's some changes, but I think, this isn't like, at least for our perspective, I would say this isn't the channel turning to something it never was. And what are you doing? It's like it's the channel becoming more what we wanted it to be, becoming more what it should be. It's not growing up and changing totally and becoming this. It's growing up and it's growing up into the thing we want it to be.
Yeah, it's
and the thing, hopefully the thing you want it to be.
Yeah, and please give it a chance.
Yeah.
We don't even know how this is going to go. So the first Gamescast Live,
Skype could crap all over us.
Skype's going to crap all over us. The first Gamescast Live was a mess. The first Midnight Gamescast was a mess. Yep. The first everything we've ever done has been a total mess. So give it some time, give it a chance. Like the new format will probably look really messy at first, and probably have a lot of issues, and we'll get over those as we've gotten over everything else. Don't forget what's happening behind the scenes. We're just a couple people trying to run a whole YouTube channel out of. It's just me trying to run a YouTube channel out of my bedroom, and man, it's a lot of effort. But what I'm happy about is that I'm not in the same place I was last week. Yeah. That I have a lot of hope for the future, and I have a lot of. I'm so excited for moving forward and seeing how this will be received, and if it is the right move for us to make. It's. even though there's always something on my plate, even though there's always something I have to do, it can feel like things are very stagnant.
Yeah.
You know, because even though I'm playing the brand new games a week before they're out, you'd be surprised how quickly that gets old.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, fuck, I got to play another new game. Fuck, I got to write another review. Fuck, I got to do this. And then finally you're like, ooh, a new show.
Yeah.
Ooh,
shiny.
It's like, this is exciting. So yeah. I hope you're excited the way I'm excited. And I think it's going to be a really good time. So so please check it out and give us your feedback. But, know that there's going to be some bumps in the road.
Right. Know that if you want things to be exactly the way they were, go back and watch last week's episode again and then reconsider that. All right.
Yeah, it's pretty messy. So, all right. Again, thank you guys so much for being Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Litterbox episodes. Thank you for, man, I can't even express, I was so down the dumps last week.
Yeah.
And I'm so optimistic about the future this week.
Yeah.
That and most of that has to do with you guys, just the outpouring of support you guys have given me. Trust me, I've read every single one of your messages.
It's just straight up onslaught of love.
to the point where I feel awful because I literally can't respond to anybody at this point because it would take days to just sit there and respond to you guys. Know that I read it, know that I love you, and know that I know you love me. But we have to move on and hope for the best with the future.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you again for all your Patreon support. And we will see you. Man, we just filmed 3 episodes. You're gonna see a whole lot of us very soon.
I am just out of gas right now, man. I'm not even gonna pretend I'm not.
All right, guys. Have an awesome night. We love you all.